Hey everybody, welcome to The Way Online. I'm Johnny. I'm glad you're with us tonight as we come together to rest easy into the recovery work that we're all seeking to do to become the people that we are made to be. People who are open and free and clear and live in the serenity prayer every day. If you are new to us, welcome. If you're a part of the Way family from the time when we actually do the Way in person, you know what we're about. But if this is a new experience for you, just because you've tuned in, you're already a part of the family, and we're glad that you're here. We live with the reality of a few things. One is that we're all in recovery from something. Some of us know what that is. Others of us are still trying to figure that out. And some of us are on the way. We are on the way to figuring that out, and we are also on the way to living into the fullness of sobriety. And so whatever stigma there may or may not be about being in recovery or recognizing that there is an addiction of some kind, a substance, a behavior, whatever it is, we do no such thing here. We assume we're all messed up in some way and we all have some work to do, that we all have a God-sized hole in our hearts, and we've tried to fill it with everything but the only thing that can, which is the grace of our higher power. So no judgments here. I mean, we all stand in need of that grace and that higher power who desires to restore us to sanity. The other thing that we do here is we live into the truth of the 12 steps as they are practiced. It works if you work it. And all that happens with that's a part of that. We live in the promise that it's a good day for a good day. And today is one such moment for us as we come together. And we live with the mantra that we're going to love you and nothing you can do about it. Which sounds cliche, and it is, and it's also true. We work really hard to make that a truth as a part of the Way community. So I hope that if you've known that, you can bear witness to it, and if you haven't, you come to know it, that it is so. As we are continuing in this online way to communicate and to convey messages of hope and aspiration in the recovery work that we're doing, I hope that you're finding it of meaning to you. Share it if it's something that is helpful for you. Subscribe. The notification bell tells you when we throw something up. But for us right now, every new video for the Way Online goes live on Fridays at 6. And as we would gather at St. John's on a Friday evening at 6. And we, if you want to join together and watch it, there's some live chat that we can do at the 6 o'clock hour on Fridays. Tonight we have a special time together. As I've shared previously, if you've been watching, we're living with how we do our music. And I have this wellspring of recordings from the Way for many years. And tonight I have all the music tonight is going to come from John. I have 3 performances of songs that he's done over the years, all of which are covers, and he does them so wonderfully, and you get to hear some of the musicians who will be playing are part of the Way Home Band, for whom I'm forever thankful. Steve Pott, Steve Selvage, Dave Smith, Kurt Clayton, and me. As the Way Home Band. Some of those guys are on some of these, and there's some other Memphis musicians who are a part of those as well. And some I don't even know because I didn't label the recording. But the performance by John is the primary thing here that I hope that you will appreciate. And I'm just aware as I've gone back and listened to these recordings that are about 4 or 5 years old, just what a dynamic, powerful, artistic force John was, even in the moments such as the Way, and there are moments in the Way that I think who he was really came out, shone through, and I think you'll get a glimpse of that tonight, and I hope that you'll enjoy that. As for future music, the Way Band, we did a Zoom meeting this week, which was a really interesting thing, And we're going to attempt to get together appropriately social distanced in the next week and put down some new stuff that we can share for however long it is that we continue to go at it this way. My guess is that even as of this date, as people are starting to think about what reopening looks like, I can't imagine that there will be glad acceptance of a gathering of a bunch of people in a church space for quite a while. So my guess is that we're going to need to continue to do the way like this for a while. But when the day comes, we can all come back together and celebrate. Man, I'm down. So anyway, welcome. If you've not yet done so, please know that we continue to need your support. You see on the slides that come up the instructions for how to give if you're inclined to do that. First, your presence on the video is your primary gift. If you have monetary support you want to help us with, you go to the St. John's website, go up to the top of the page, hit the Give tab, and then there's a place where you can give directly to the Way, and that helps us with our ministry to cover all the costs that help us do that as much as we can right now. So if you can do that, wonderful, and if not, we're going to love you, and ain't nothing you can do about it anyway, so it's all good. Anyway, so here we go. There's some great music I hope that you really enjoy and appreciate, and then we'll have a step talk later in the time together. Glad you're here. So our first song tonight is Riders on the Storm, the Doors cover. John would do the Doors every now and again, which was always just kind of a groovy space to be in. This is from The Way on December 30, 2016. And on that night, John's playing with Dave Smith on the bass, Paul Taylor's on guitar, the Bishop Ashley Davis is on keys, and as John would name him, the Reverend Tom Leonardo on the drums. It's a great performance, and it goes a while, so sit back and enjoy it. Riders on the Storm.
The world depends on life and death. God love you, man.
Our next song is a Stevie Wonder cover, Living for the City. And John is playing that night. I'm not even sure who all he's playing with because I didn't label it when I first recorded it, but I know without question Tommy Burrows is on mandolin, and you'll find that out pretty quickly too. Just exceptional musician. And this is from September 30, 2016. Great song. John did it so well. Enjoy Living for the City.
small, soon he won't have any. To find a job is like a haystack needle, 'cause where it is, they don't use good people. They're just enough. His head long, his feet is high and ready. He spent living up walking the streets of New York City. He's almost dead of breathing on their pollution. He tried to move, but Lord, there's no solution. When it's just enough, just enough for that day. I hope you hear inside my voice of sorrow, and that it motivates you to a better tomorrow. This place is cruel, nowhere must be colder, and if we don't change, the world will soon be over. And it's just enough for that day.
So as you know, each week we talk about one of the 12 steps, and tonight we're up to step 6. We're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. And as I think about that step, there's just a few words within that sentence that just kind of jump out. Entirely ready, remove all. I think part of the work in recovery is this incremental way of understanding that there's a way to live other than the life we've been living, that we've been hiding, that we've been trapped in. And yet the vestiges of that at times, even as we're beginning to taste the beginnings of a clear heart and mind, a sober life, that there are still those elements of it that at times might appeal, even unknowingly at times. So to be entirely ready is huge, right? I mean, it's like, okay, from this point, there's no going back. I'm entirely ready. This is kind of my line in the sand. I go past this. I've moved further beyond where I ever have before. And then the other thing that hits me was entirely ready to have God remove all. All. Well, yeah, I'm entirely ready to have God remove all, but I still sometimes get mad, or I still sometimes move into areas of thinking I shouldn't. How can that be? I can be entirely ready. God remove all. And if I have no more defects of character, does that mean that I've now lived into I'm perfect? Does it mean I'm perfect now? No, not at all. Not at all. And sometimes I think we might think that's the case. If I'm to ask God to remove all the defects of character, to be entirely ready, is the thing. The process of how those defects of character are removed are done by God, not by you. You're entirely ready to have God remove those defects of character. Interesting thing about perfection, at least in the Christian scriptures, when that's referenced in the New Testament, the word for perfect really means more mature. I'm maturing. And as you grow, right, and don't you find that in your life that your understanding of things may have changed, that something that you held with great zeal and passion, you don't quite, did it really matter anyway? So maybe as we grow and mature in our recovery, we come to understand that the perfection we're seeking is not that I am perfect and you're not. It's that I've become entirely ready to ask God to do a thing, which is a sign of maturity, isn't it? To be entirely ready to ask God to do this thing, which God has, we've said previously, has demonstrated, however you understand God, your higher power, has the desire to do. So as you live into approach step 6, I would imagine those words might be the ones that jump at you, to be entirely ready. And to remove all. I think about that in terms of my own journey. I'm not the person I was. Thank God. But by God's grace, I'm not yet what I will be. And I think that may be at the true heart of step 6, and I hope that that connects with you. As we move toward prayer tonight, as we always do, be mindful of those who work so hard to protect us, lift them up in prayer. Our call to prayer around a siren, you hear one, pray for those in trouble, those who are rushing in. Pray for your own recovery work. Pray for those who are impacted by your recovery work. Pray for those who are helping oversee your recovery work, walking alongside you, sponsoring you if you're a part of a treatment. Help those who are, pray for those who are helping you realize your own recovery. And then pray tonight for those nobody's praying for, because God knows in the midst of a global pandemic, nobody needs to be left out when it comes to prayer. So let's keep a moment's silence, after which we'll share in the Serenity Prayer. Let's pray the Serenity Prayer. God, grant me serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Amen. So our last song tonight is a cover of David Bowie's Heroes. It's from February 19, 2016, about a month after David Bowie died, and I think John did it as a tribute for the musical legacy of David Bowie. That night, playing with John was Steve Potts on drums, Dave Smith on the bass, and Joe Restivo on guitar. And I picked that in part because, one, it's a great performance, but the other thing, too, it feels like, in light of where we are in the world, that the acts of heroism that we're witnessing, of profound courage of those who are taking care of the sick, who are placing themselves in harm's way to care for those who are so deeply imperiled, rightly requires an act of acknowledgement and appreciation. There's heroism aplenty. And for, kind of the first rule for those in the medical profession and for a number of us of a particular faith perspective is to do no harm. And here are people who are doing their best to both do no harm and to take care of those who have been harmed, and sometimes even at risk of their own health. It's a profound thing. So it's a great performance. It's why I wanted to share it with you tonight, for both its message and its meaning, and I hope that you find that to be true in your life. Heroes.
of nothing. Drive them away. We can be there just for one day. Yeah, we can be heroes just for one day.
Okay, friends, that's it for tonight. I hope you enjoyed being with us, that it was of meaning to you. Share this video. Let folks who are living in recovery know that there's a safe place to come and be. Let us hear from you if there's some ways that from even at a distance we can help you be a part of your recovery journey. We want to be. I get a lot of comments about this iteration of the Way logo and where that came from. That came from these fingers. I water painted that. That's part of my own work that I do to kind of center my heart and my life. So that is my impression of the original logo that was beautifully crafted by Collins Dillard. So that's where that comes from. And it's not for sale or anything. I had lots of questions about that. Although it could be for sale if you want to make me an offer. Receive this benediction and we'll see you next week. May the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up her countenance upon you, give you peace. Amen. See you next week.